And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, here we go. Yay! Good morning. This is Life Beyond Obligation with the Morning Mindset. And I'm talking to all these cameras now. It's like, where do I look? Secret squirrel. Okay, so question. I want to start this morning mindset off with a question. If the only life we get is the one we choose for ourselves, then why do we waste that life choosing and doing things we don't really want to do? And why do we spend way too much time feeling obligated to all the wrong things and all the wrong people? You know, when I wrote that question down, I had a list that was like forever long. I say as tall as me, but I'm not very tall, so that's not really a big list. But you get the point, all right? Because I created a quote yesterday too, that when you're obligated, you're not free, because you're not doing things because you want to. You're doing the things that are expected of you, right? You're not doing what you want that makes you happy. You do those things even when you're unhappy, if it makes you unhappy, right? If it doesn't align with your values and your standards or your true desires. So in other words, you're living your life according to other people's standards and ideas and wants instead of your own. And that could mean maybe staying in a job that you hate because it's stable, or staying in a relationship that's no longer working because you don't want to be alone, right? Now, whatever it is that's keeping you stuck, you don't want to be there. It's important to remember that you have a choice. And I know you go, oh, no, I actually don't. But you really do, right? Even if that choice that you want really, really scares you, and it might be the hardest thing you've ever done or will ever do, all right? So this is the first time you join me on Instagram. Hello, cameras everywhere. Oh, I feel like a celebrity, right? Welcome to Morning Mindset. This is our series on Making Broken Beautiful, and I'm giving you the tools so you can live your life by design rather than by default. And today's topic is centered around obligation. And you could choose to live a life of obligation and be true to yourself, or you could choose to live this life of intention and not be true to yourself. So you can choose to live a life of obligation and not be true to yourself, or you could choose to live a life of intention, making choices that are in alignment with your true desires. Right? It means taking risks and following your heart, even when it isn't the safe choice. Right? It means being honest about yourself and about what you really want and going after it with everything you've got. And it means living life on your terms, living it intentionally. So I have another question. I had a bunch of questions actually, about to take some out because otherwise we'd be here all day. But I want you to ask yourself, what are some of the things you do for yourself that are not obligations, right? Because unless you're legally obliged or by a binding contract or a morally binding one to someone or something, then you're not really obliged at all. And that means you're free. You're free to choose how you want to live your life. You're not bound by those expectations of others or societal norms, right? You can create your own path and choose how you want to live your life and live it according to your own rules and principle. And that's true freedom, because when you live that life of choice like that, you have the power then to create your own reality. You can choose to do what you want to do, choose to do and be who you want to be, what you want to have in your life, and where you want to go. And you're not limited by your past or by other people's opinions, right? Because other people's opinions means you're living their lives. And that means you're wasting your own. Living by choice means you can design your life exactly as you want it. Right? It took me a long time to get here, by the way. Right? It's not an easy thing, right? But choice, when I realized about the power of choice, because I was living according to everybody else's ideas and rules and doing what they wanted and to keep them happy so as not to rock that proverbial boat, right? When I realized I had a choice, but that choice was going to that was going to rock the boat, but I had to take it. It's one of the most empowering things. And for you, it can change your life because it allows you to take control of your world and create the reality you want, right? You can choose to do things that bring you joy and happy and fulfillment and all those things. And you do want that. How many times you just go through the motions, right? Just day in, day out, just same old, right? And when we honor ourselves by choosing how we want to live our life and not doing it because we feel we need to, or making decisions because other people are going to be happy then, we open ourselves up to a better world, a newer world of possibility. And I know that the things that have happened for me since I did that have been amazing. And it hasn't come without its difficulties. I'm not going to say it's easy, because it really isn't. But when you live your life on purpose and meaning and make a difference in the world, obligation is no longer the master. Right? Because there's so much more to life than just doing things because you feel you have to. But and even when I'm saying all that, and I know some people will just continue to do that. I did. When I was thinking about this years and years ago, I still continued to do things because I felt I should, because it's almost like a habit. We get into that. We get into not wanting to upset things and, oh, I'll do that tomorrow and I'll make that change then or whatever. And we don't honor ourselves. So have you ever considered why you do what you do? Yeah. There's probably tons of reasons why we do the things we feel we should. One particular one is that habit we call people pleasing. Yeah. People pleasing. I was a champion at that, by the way. When we worry that if we don't do something, or if we do something in a way that isn't perfect, that we might be rejected. Or what else? We have to deal with people who are unhappy with us. Because we don't want to upset or disappoint, we do what we think that they want us to do. And maybe that's because they've helped us so much in the past. We think we should. Right? Shoulda, woulda, coulda. We think we owe them. And then we convince ourselves that we actually don't mind. Well, they did this for me and I'm going to do that. And it's okay if you're doing that because you want to. But not because you feel you have to. Otherwise, you're going to be rejected. Right? So what do you feel? What do you do that you feel you should? And what would happen if you didn't do that anymore? If you just stop right now? Because I want you to honor yourself, because life is way too short to live it people pleasing, live it by under, obligation. I want to encourage you to rethink how you're doing things, even if you're not totally happy with how things. If you're not totally happy with how things are going, by the way, and you want something. No, sorry, my thoughts are, even if you're not totally happy with how things are going, if you want to do something, do it because you want to. That's what I'm trying to say. Not because you feel you have to, because you will be more happier. And the people around you are going to be happier and they're going to accept you because you're happier. So it's a win-win for everybody, right? Because the people that truly care about you, the people that are in any kind of relationship or friendship with you, will want you to have the best. They want you to do what you want and what makes you happy, and they'll support all of those decisions. And the people that get upset by you having boundaries and not doing what you think because you should, not doing what you think you should, if they get upset and unhappy about that, they were benefiting from you being that person and from what they were getting out of you. So start thinking about that. If you could choose one thing to change your life right now for the better in that area, what would it be? And I've got 5 tips for you so that you can start living with intention instead of obligation. Because obligation is that thing that we've been taught to accept as part of a life. Maybe we've been told that we have to do certain things in order to be accepted. But I want to reinforce and restate that there's always a choice. So the first point is to stop living out of obligation, right? You don't always have to do anything you don't want to do, right? The second point is to learn to accept yourself, because obligation comes from that place of feeling like we're not good enough. And that can obviously lead to a whole lot of self-doubt and insecurity. And we're living someone else's life when we're doing what they want, because you get resentful in the end about that, right? So one of the most important things that you can do is to learn to accept yourself exactly as you are while you're working on changing the things that you feel you want to improve, right? But the things that you want to improve, not what anyone else says you need to improve. Because again, that's their story. So when you start to accept yourself for who you are, you'll be able to let go of that need to prove yourself to others. And that's liberating. It's showing you and allowing you to live more freely with your own life. So be true to yourself, right? That's the third point. Be true to who you are. Because obligation can make you feel like you have to compromise your values, your beliefs, and everything else around that to be accepted. So it's more important to remember that if you're true to yourself and you're not letting anyone dictate your life of who you should be or what you should do or where you should go or why you should do it. And, I know people that have gone into the medical profession because all their families were doctors or all their families were teachers. It wasn't what they wanted to do at all. And then they get to the 50s, 60s. I'm working with an 80-year-old lady at the moment. And she lived her life according to everyone else's values and morals. And now she's super disappointed because she didn't take a chance on herself. She gave up on her dreams a long time ago. So value you, right? It's important to remember, be true to you, based on who you are and what you really want, and make choices around your own beliefs and your own values. And then the fourth point then is to start living out a choice. And that's really what this whole thing today has been about. It's about living with intention and changing your lives for the better. Because when you start making choices from a place of power rather than obligation, your life will change, because you're no longer controlled by fear and rejection. And you can start living more in line with what you really want. Right? So I have a question as well. Thinking about all of those points, I have one more point after this, but uh, what do you need to do right now, right today? What small change can you make to start living from choice rather than obligation and make that your reality? Think about that. Think about, what can I do? It doesn't have to be this huge big thing that upsets all the apple cart and throws your life right into absolute chaos. A tiny little thing, right? And then this is all about boundaries, people pleasing, and I've got tons of videos on those things too. So the last thing then that I want to share with you is about embracing acceptance. Like I said, about making that choice from a place of power, because you're going to meet resistance from everyone, especially when you start making changes. No one's going to like it. They like you as you were, right? You served a purpose there. So, and every time you make a different choice, not everyone's going to agree with that, but you've got to be okay with that and do what you need to protect that capacity to be able to choose. All right. So you don't need to please everyone in order to feel happy and fulfilled. And what's the most important thing that you can do to help yourself? And the most important thing in all of this is to learn to accept yourself just as you are, and using your mistakes as opportunities to grow. Now, I'm just about to wrap up, and I would love you to say hi and give me your thoughts on that, and tell me where you're tuning in from. And as I wrap up this, thank you for being with me. I want to share that. Oh no, I want to ask you a question, another question. Like, what's something you can do, or what's something you've always wanted to do? Is probably a better way to phrase this. What's something you've always wanted to do, but you haven't done it yet because it's not an obligation? And I want to remind you that the power of intention is one of the most important things in life. It's that ability to create what you want. And I've said this over and over and over, and I'm banging on the drum about this because it's important, that you do have the ability to create what you want from life and in your life. When you live with intention, when you're having a life of choice rather than doing what you shoulda, woulda, coulda, all of that stuff. I did this because I should have. Why? Right? Choose what you want to do with your life and stop being controlled by your circumstances. And that's it for me today. I'm going to look over here in a second. On Monday, I'll be addressing Life Beyond Your Past. So I want to thank you for being here. I truly appreciate you. I'm super grateful for your time. And if you found any of this helpful and motivating, I would love you to give some feedback to the group and the Reset Your Life group. And if you want to help others change their lives for the better too, you can share these mini trainings with them, with people that you know may benefit. And if you want to keep up to date with the latest trainings, be sure to join my online community and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I am about to go behind the scenes with the audience, and that's going to happen on YouTube. So before I go there and look at all the wonderful comments people have, oh, look at all those pictures, that's weird. Before we go there with all those comments, I just wanted to thank you for being here and say that my greatest wish for you is for you to be Mindfit. I want you to live your best life, and I want you to live it with passion. So reset, be authentic, and be you.
And guys, this is the director. Just wanted to show you people the whole setup of Pamela Hartnell behind the scenes. You can see she's all over the cameras and she is going to take over the world.
Way. That's mad. That's so cool. There was too many cameras. I didn't know where I was going today. And here we are, ready for the comments. Oh, where are they? Did I just do something? I always freeze. I'm looking at that picture. So why do you always freeze? in the most inappropriate places. Mark Sullivan is joining us from YouTube. Good morning, Mark Sullivan. Hope you're feeling better. High Tech Mother is looking really good, Coach Pam. Love the wavy hair. I know what. Thanks, High Tech Mother. And High Tech Mother also says good morning to Mark Sullivan too. Kevin and a whole bunch of numbers. Hello, hello. Well, I'm not sure where you're joining from. That's that thing. Mark Sullivan says good morning. Parker, good morning. I love that obligation is no longer the master. Damn straight, Parker. Kick that thing out the curb, to the curb. And Intentional says, loving the multi-camera studio boss lady. I did having more camera. I was like, which one do I look at? That was totally confusing. Parker says it's all about honoring your truth and your presence in life that you have been gifted. Yes, because when you're not doing that, Parker, you're living someone else's life, and that's a complete waste of your own. And you'll actually resent that. And my partner has lots of 80, 90-year-old people, and that's one of the things that they all say, that they wish they had the courage to do things that they wanted to do. And Parker says, loving the setup. Yo, I know, it's cool, huh? Sebastian One says, look at that setup. I know. High Tech Mother. Oh, that is a sexy setup. David Collins, good morning. Very good. Have a great weekend, Pamela. And you too, David. Thank you for joining us. Mark Sullivan says, many obligations, but only one or two are actually necessary. 100% true. The rest could actually be forgotten and not really make any difference. That's a really good point. And that's it. That's us all done. And now I've got to work out how to stop going live on all these places. Have a lovely, lovely weekend. And I'll see you next week. Bye for now.